What happens when a superpower directly threatens another major nation during wartime? In a recent development that has sent shockwaves through international politics, Moscow has issued a dire warning to the United Kingdom. The crux of this threat? Russia has declared it will carry out strikes against the UK if Ukrainian forces use British-supplied weapons to launch attacks on Russian soil. This statement not only intensifies the already taut atmosphere, but also spotlights the intricate web of international involvement in the Ukraine conflict. The backdrop to this escalation is a battlefield where alliances and weaponry from across the globe play a pivotal role. The UK, among other nations, has been a significant supplier of military aid to Ukraine, aiming to bolster its defenses against Russian advances. As the war unfolds, the lines between direct and indirect involvement become increasingly blurred, pulling more nations into the fray. This stark warning marks a significant escalation in rhetoric and stakes in the conflict. Why would Russia specifically target the UK in its threats? This question pivots on the significant military aid that Britain has extended to Ukraine amidst escalating conflicts. The UK's contribution includes a range of sophisticated weaponry, from advanced missile systems to crucial defensive equipment, each designed to fortify Ukraine's military capabilities against Russian aggression. The backbone of British support comes in the form of anti-tank weapons, notably the NLAWs, next-generation light anti-tank weapons, which have proven to be game-changers on the battlefield. These portable, fire-and-forget missile systems allow Ukrainian forces to effectively counter Russian armored vehicles, enhancing their defensive and offensive operations. Moreover, the UK has supplied Ukraine with state-of-the-art missile systems, such as the Storm Shadow cruise missiles. These missiles, known for their precision and long-range capabilities, enable Ukrainian forces to strike at critical infrastructure deep within Russian-held territories, potentially altering the strategic landscape. This capability not only bolsters Ukraine's position, but also poses a significant threat to Russian military assets, potentially extending the conflict's reach. In addition to offensive weaponry, the UK has played a crucial role in bolstering Ukraine's air defenses. This includes providing sophisticated radar systems and anti-aircraft equipment, which are vital in countering Russian aerial assaults, including those from advanced fighter jets and long-range bombers. By enhancing Ukraine's ability to defend its airspace, the UK directly impacts the aerial dynamics of the conflict, complicating Russian military strategies. The deployment of these advanced weapon systems by the UK underscores a strategic commitment to Ukraine, signaling a robust support that extends beyond mere rhetoric. It is this level of involvement that likely motivates Russia's pointed threats towards the UK, viewing this military support as a direct challenge to its objectives and a pivotal force altering the balance of power in the region. With these advanced weapons in play, the UK's support for Ukraine is not just logistical, but pivotal in the conflict's balance. How did the world react to Moscow's dire warning? In the wake of Moscow's stark threat against the United Kingdom, a flurry of international responses quickly surfaced. Leaders and organizations around the globe were swift to voice their concerns, underscoring the gravity of the situation. NATO Secretary General, in a press conference, emphasized the alliance's unwavering support for Ukraine while calling for immediate de-escalation. He highlighted that the security of NATO member states is paramount, and any threat to these nations is taken with utmost seriousness. Meanwhile, the European Union's response was marked by a call for calm and restraint from all parties involved. The President of the European Commission expressed deep concern over the potential escalation of conflict, urging Russia to consider diplomatic channels rather than military threats. She stressed the importance of dialogue and negotiation to avoid further deterioration of the already tense situation in Eastern Europe. The United Nations Secretary General also weighed in, calling for an immediate cessation of hostilities and a return to diplomatic negotiations. He pointed out that the international community must come together to prevent a catastrophic escalation that could have far-reaching consequences beyond the region. Leaders from various countries, including Germany and France, echoed these sentiments. The German Chancellor called for all European nations to unite in their approach to maintain peace and stability, while the French president warned that further military escalation could lead to uncontrollable consequences, stressing the need for a unified and measured response from the international community. In summary, the immediate reactions from international leaders and organizations to Moscow's warning were a blend of concern, calls for restraint, and a unanimous desire for a diplomatic resolution. It's clear that the stakes are high and the global community is keenly aware of the delicate balance that needs to be maintained to avoid a further escalation. The global call for restraint shows the widespread concern over this new peak in tensions. What could be the consequences if this threat were to materialize? Should Russia act on its threatening rhetoric towards the United Kingdom, the ramifications could ripple across multiple domains, from military engagements to geopolitical alignments and global economic stability. Firstly, on a military level, if Russia were to strike the UK in retaliation for Ukrainian use of British-supplied weapons, we could see an immediate escalation in hostilities. This might prompt the UK and its allies to respond militarily, potentially leading to a broader conflict that could draw in NATO forces under the collective defense terms of Article 5. This article states that an armed attack against one or more NATO members is considered an attack against all, thereby mandating a collective response. Politically, the stakes are equally high. Russia's direct engagement with the UK could fracture existing international relations and create new alliances. Countries might be forced to take clear stances, choosing to either support NATO's collective defense commitment or advocate for de-escalation and diplomacy. This could lead to a polarization of global politics, where middle ground positions become increasingly untenable. Economically, the impact could be profound and far-reaching. Markets abhor uncertainty, and a conflict of this magnitude could lead to significant volatility. Energy supplies, particularly natural gas and oil, could be disrupted, leading to price spikes and shortages. Given Russia's role as a major energy supplier, particularly to Europe, this could exacerbate the economic turmoil. Moreover, trade sanctions could be intensified on both sides, affecting not just the primary nations involved, but also their global trading partners. Furthermore, the risk of a wider conflict involving more nations could severely affect international relations and global stability. An escalation from a regional to a global conflict could lead to a significant military buildup, drawing resources away from critical issues such as climate change and global health. The implications of such actions could reshape international alliances and the global geopolitical landscape. Where do we go from here in this high-stakes geopolitical chess game? As the Russia-Ukraine conflict barrels into its third year, the involvement of Western nations, particularly through the provision of advanced weaponry, continues to shape the battlefield dynamics. With each passing day, the war's complexity deepens, intertwining more closely with the intricate fabric of global politics. Looking ahead, the continued support from Western allies like the United States, the United Kingdom, and France seems unwavering. This support not only includes military aid but also economic sanctions aimed at weakening Russian resolve. The strategic objectives of Russia, meanwhile, remain centered on securing territories and bolstering its influence over Eastern Europe. However, the stiff resistance from Ukraine, bolstered by Western military aid, has prevented any decisive victory. The role of diplomacy emerges as ever crucial. Talks of peace negotiations have surfaced intermittently, though substantial progress remains elusive. The key to these negotiations will be the willingness of both sides to compromise, a scenario currently hindered by the high stakes each party holds. Moreover, international diplomatic efforts are complicated by the internal political pressures faced by leaders in Russia, Ukraine, and the NATO countries. In the realm of possibilities, one scenario could see an escalation leading to direct confrontations between Russia and NATO forces, a prospect that the world watches with bated breath. Alternatively, a gradual de-escalation could occur if economic pressures and political isolation lead to a strategic withdrawal or rethinking of tactics by Russia. Another critical aspect is the potential for a broader diplomatic framework involving not just the warring states but other global powers like China, which could play a pivotal role in brokering peace, or conversely, in shifting the balance of power. As the international community continues to grapple with these issues, the humanitarian aspect remains paramount. The global response to the refugee crisis and civilian casualties will test the moral resolve and the capacity of nations to uphold human rights under the shadow of geopolitical strife. The path forward remains uncertain, with each move on the geopolitical board being more critical than the last. Today we've witnessed how a single threat can escalate global tensions in a heartbeat. In the unfolding scenario where Moscow has issued stark warnings to the United Kingdom, the stakes are unmistakably high. The deployment and potential use of British weapons by Ukraine could redefine the contours of international relations and military engagements. Throughout our discussion, we've explored the intricate layers of this geopolitical conundrum, from the immediate ramifications of Moscow's threat to the broader implications for global peace and security. This situation is a chessboard, where each move by a global power could either checkmate peace or plunge regions into deeper conflict. The international community remains on edge, as responses from various nations highlight the precarious balance between supporting sovereign rights and preventing escalation. The fear of a direct confrontation looms large, not just over the involved nations but also over the entire global community. As nations tread this tightrope of diplomacy and conflict, the world watches and waits, hoping for peace but preparing for any outcome.